January 9th, 2022. On a cold, silent night, North Korea's internet blinks out of existence. Government servers fail. State portals collapse. It's not as if an entire nation's online infrastructure just cuts itself off from the rest of the world. Cybersecurity analysts scramble. Was this retaliation for Kim Jong-un's latest missile tests? A massive cyber strike from a rival nation? The world suspects a government, a military cyber unit, a digital superpower. But the truth is far stranger. This was not the work of a country. It was the work of one hacker, in his pajamas, fueled by a grudge. 1 year earlier, an American cybersecurity researcher sits at his desk, combing through lines of code, his identity hidden, his handle known only as P4X. Late one night, in January 2021, he receives an unexpected message. A fellow researcher offers him a new hacking tool. Nothing unusual. In his world, these trades happen every day. Curious, he opens it inside a secure virtual machine. No alarms, no warnings, just silence. But the silence won't last. 24 hours later, Google drops a bombshell. North Korean hackers are launching attacks on Western security researchers, using booby-trapped files disguised as legitimate tools. P4X freezes. He checks the tool he received, and his stomach drops. Buried deep inside the file was a back door, a secret entry point for intruders to slip silently into his machine. North Korean operatives had targeted him directly, a nation-state, hunting a single researcher. P4X soon discovers he wasn't alone. Dozens of researchers, some of the world's best, were being targeted too. Pyongyang wasn't just hacking companies. They were hacking the people who find vulnerabilities. A bold strategy, a dangerous one. North Korea's cyber units were trying to steal advanced hacking tools by attacking the very experts who created them. They were weaponizing the industry against itself. After surviving a nation-state cyber attack, P4X expects immediate action. Surely, he thinks, the US government will respond, investigate, retaliate, protect him. Eventually, an FBI agent calls, but only to take a statement. No follow-up, no protection, no support, just bureaucratic silence. Weeks pass, then months. The message is painfully clear. No one is coming. P4X feels abandoned, a lone civilian targeted by a hostile regime and ignored by his own government. As he digs deeper into what happened, something shifts. Annoyance turns to frustration. Frustration turns to anger. And anger hardens into something sharper, a resolve, a plan. North Korea struck him in the shadows and walked away untouched. That didn't sit right, because P4X is not the type to forgive. He begins to explore their infrastructure, not as a government agent, not as part of a task force, just him. One man, one laptop, one mission. A lone hacker versus a nation regime. It sounds absurd, but to P4X, it feels inevitable. By the end of 2021, his mind is set. He will strike North Korea himself. But can a single person really cripple a country's internet without being discovered? P4X begins quietly gathering intelligence. For the first time, he becomes the hunter. His target is North Korea's tiny slice of the online world. Very few outsiders have any true understanding of what the country's digital infrastructure even looks like. What he uncovers astonishes him. The entire nation's internet presence is shockingly small and unbelievably fragile. Only a handful of networks and a few dozen websites represent the whole country. It is a digital house of cards held together by aging software and careless security. To an experienced hacker, it feels full of unlocked doors. Night after night, P4X studies North Korea's systems from afar. He probes servers, tests access points, and hunts for weak spots in the code. Before long, he finds exactly what he needs: vulnerabilities, plenty of them. And these are not even newly discovered issues. They are old flaws that North Korean administrators simply never bothered to fix. Outdated versions of Apache, riddled with security holes. An obsolete Nginx bug that crashes the server with nothing more than a malformed header. To P4X, it feels as if North Korea has left its front gates wide open. It is fascinating how easy it was to actually create an effect in their systems, he remarks. The more he maps their network, the more confident he becomes. He knows he can pull this off. He begins writing custom scripts to automate the attack. If one person intends to strike an entire country, automation becomes essential. His code scans North Korean servers, checks for activity, then hits them with exploits designed to overload or crash them. It is a denial-of-service operation executed with surgical precision, a digital form of guerrilla warfare. Every line of code serves a single purpose: to knock North Korea off the global internet. As he prepares, P4X works in absolute secrecy. He knows that acting as a vigilante is dangerous. If caught, he could face serious legal consequences under cybersecurity laws. And if North Korea ever discovers who is behind the intrusions, he could become a target for retaliation. So he protects himself carefully. He fully embraces the pseudonym. He chooses the name P4X, pronounced Pax, a subtle nod to enforcing peace through punishment. Behind this alias, he operates from the shadows. No real name, no identity, just a faceless hacker delivering retribution. By early 2022, the operation is ready. P4X sits at his computer, likely wearing the familiar combination of a t-shirt, pajama pants, and slippers. This ordinary-looking man now carries an extraordinary mission: to cripple a nation's internet. He double-checks his tools. The code is primed on his laptop and mirrored across rented cloud servers. Every target is mapped, every exploit locked in. His pulse thunders with a mix of adrenaline, precision, and defiance. With a steady breath, he initiates the strike. A few keystrokes, nothing more, and the packets begin firing. The code spins into motion. The targets engage. But will any of it truly work? Or will everything blow back in his face? Inside a quiet Miami home, P4X watches his monitors glow as waves of traffic surge toward North Korea. At first, the moment feels strangely underwhelming. No explosions, no dramatic visuals, just lines of code running silently, the attack unfurling in the background. He throws on a sci-fi alien movie to distract himself, munching spicy corn chips and pretending this is just another night. But every few minutes, he pauses the film and walks back to his office to check the operation's progress. And each time, the results look better. One by one, North Korean servers stop responding. He pings the handful of websites the country maintains. Air Korea's booking page, down. Naenara, the regime's official portal, down. The state news site, down. Refresh, nothing. Every link times out. Across the world, anyone trying to reach a North Korean domain receives only errors. Inside the isolated nation, officials suddenly find themselves cut off from external email, public pages, and communications. North Korea has gone dark. Still, P4X refuses to celebrate too early. Is this real? Could one person truly be responsible for this collapse? He checks Pingdom, an independent uptime tracker. The charts for North Korean domains glow red. Outages everywhere. Meanwhile, a veteran cybersecurity researcher monitoring North Korean traffic sees a massive, mysterious wave of strikes taking the country offline. He is stunned, unable to identify the source. P4X smiles. It's working, and not a single person knows it's him. Hour after hour, the assault continues. His scripts hammer the fragile servers until they crash, then automatically shift to the next target. North Korea's limited pathways to the global internet buckle under the pressure. What he's executing is technically a denial-of-service operation, but sharpened with precision, exploiting vulnerabilities the regime ignored for years. By the time he finally stops for the night, almost every public-facing site in North Korea has vanished from the web. A nation's online footprint erased by one man at a keyboard. Before going to bed, P4X stands still for a moment, absorbing what he has done. He has proven that even a heavily fortified regime can bleed in cyberspace. North Korea's internet, it's supposed to be an impenetrable digital fortress, a tightly controlled iron wall. Yet he managed to break through it with startling ease. The first night of his personal cyber war comes to an end, and though North Korea is offline, he knows this is only the opening shot. Every site is down. The regime's online presence has gone dark. Now, the real danger begins. What happens when the world notices and starts asking who did it? By morning, whispers of North Korea's widespread outage quietly circulate among analysts and intelligence officials. After all, it isn't every day that an entire nation drops off the global network. Speculation spreads like wildfire. Did U.S. Cyber Command intervene? Was this retaliation by another state-backed cyber unit? The timing is too convenient to ignore. North Korea had just conducted multiple missile tests days earlier. Some observers suggest this blackout might be a covert warning from a major power, a silent reminder to Pyongyang to dial back its aggression. As expected, North Korea says nothing, no admission, no explanation. Inside the country, almost no one knows anything happened. Ordinary citizens have no access to the global internet. Fewer than 1% can reach anything beyond their closed intranet. The outage affects only what North Korea shows the outside world: propaganda sites, state news portals, and official communication servers. So, life in Pyongyang continues as usual. There are no protests, no panic, no visible sign that the nation's digital facade has crumbled. Outside North Korea, though, the story begins to grow. Within the small but obsessive community that monitors the country's online footprint, the outage becomes major news. For days, nearly every North Korean website remains unreachable. Tech forums spark endless debates. Is North Korea under attack? Is this an act of cyber warfare? Who would dare take down an entire nation? Whenever a few websites flicker back online, they fall again minutes later. It feels as if someone is playing with North Korea's connections, switching them on and off like a toy. Yet no government claims responsibility. Remaining invisible is exactly what he wants. Recognition would only bring scrutiny and danger. As long as the regime can't identify who is hitting them, they can't retaliate. For P4X, the world's confusion isn't just satisfying, it's protection. Still, as the mystery drags on, more questions begin to surface. How long can a single individual keep this operation running? What happens if North Korea manages to retaliate, whether online or in the real world? The public may not grasp the risks, but P4X does. He knows he's stirring a pot that could quickly boil over. For now, he's winning. But humiliating a nuclear-armed regime is not without consequences. By disrupting North Korea's access points to the outside world, P4X has made his statement, at least for the moment. Kim Jong-un's government has been publicly embarrassed, exposed as so vulnerable online that one determined hacker can isolate them whenever he chooses. To P4X, that feels like justice. His mission from the start was simple: irritate the regime and prove that there are repercussions for targeting Western security researchers. And he believes he's accomplished exactly that. I definitely wanted to affect the government as much as possible, and the people as little as possible, he says, with clear conviction. In his eyes, knocking out a few propaganda portals is no different from tearing down a dictator's posters, symbolic, targeted, and aimed squarely at those in power. Riding the momentum of his success, P4X feels a shift. Temporary outages no longer seem like enough. The more he thinks, the more he realizes his one-man campaign could evolve into something far more impactful. North Korea's hackers will keep going after Western targets unless someone puts pressure on them. So, P4X decides to escalate. He plans to move beyond simple denial of service attacks. His next objective is far more daring: infiltrate North Korean systems, uncover sensitive information, and expose it publicly. If severing their external connections sent a message, then stealing their secrets might deliver a far louder one. But he also knows a single hacker has limits, so he quietly builds a hidden site on the dark web, naming it the Funk Project, short for FU North Korea. It becomes a rally point for like-minded hacktivists, an open invitation for others to join the mission. This is a project to keep North Korea honest, the site declares. In essence, he's forming a team, hoping to multiply his reach. One hacker took down the country's outward-facing internet. A small collective could potentially dig deeper and hold the regime accountable on a scale he never could alone. It marks the beginning of an underground vigilante cyber force. But not everyone in the cybersecurity world thinks this renegade path is wise. Some researchers who've been targeted by Pyongyang worry that P4X's disruptive activity could collide with classified intelligence operations. What if US or allied agencies are quietly inside those same North Korean networks? His loud, destructive actions could unintentionally jeopardize silent espionage missions years in the making. Others point out an unavoidable reality. From the US government's perspective, hacking is hacking. Targeting a hostile regime doesn't change that. P4X is fully aware. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act offers no loophole for vigilante justice. For him, exposing Kim's vulnerabilities and delivering a blunt message outweighs the personal risk. And that message isn't aimed solely at North Korea. It's also directed at his own government. By acting on his own, he hopes to shame US authorities into acknowledging the threat, and into protecting people like him before others are left exposed. If no one else will stand between citizens and these attacks, P4X will, and he intends to prove that real resistance is possible. When asked how far he's willing to go, the question makes him laugh. Regime change. No, I'm just kidding, he says. He maintains that he's not trying to topple governments simply to make a point. Yet, he plans to keep hammering North Korea's networks until that point becomes impossible to ignore. So far, no law enforcement officers have appeared at his door, and North Korea still has no idea who he is. And P4X remains untouched, unidentified, and unfazed. His campaign continues in the shadows, leaving a repressive regime glancing over its shoulder, while the rest of the world wonders who struck the Hermit Kingdom online, and whether they will strike again. North Korea doesn't know who is hitting them. Investigators aren't knocking. But in a conflict this volatile, how long can one hacker remain invisible?